This card took place in August of 1987 in my hometown, Racine, Wisconsin, at Horlick Field, which is about 3 blocks away from Horlick High School. It's where all 3 of the high schools used to play football on Friday nights. Now each school has their own field. But by 87, we were pretty much a spot town. I think we had 2 shows that year, one in February, one in August. And this show took place in August, and the main event was Gagne and Wahoo McDaniel versus Soldat Ustinov and Boris Zhukov, with Gary DeRusha as the referee. It was your typical old school 80s tag team match. Wahoo was doing the work that night, bleeding from the head like Wahoo did for a good part of his career. Greg was stuck on the outside. The Russians were double-teaming Wahoo, which would bring Greg into the ring. DeRusha would have to back him out. Then you would have Zhukov or Ustinov go over and taunt Greg, which would draw Greg in. DeRusha would have to back him out, and the Russians could double-team Wahoo again.
Right.
Well, toward the end of the match, Soldat Ustinov is choking Wahoo on the outside. He's on the floor. Wahoo's hung over the top rope, neck on the top rope, bleeding from the head, showing no signs of life at all. You would have thought Wahoo had died right there. Zhukov goes to pull Greg in. DeRusha and Zhukov have their back to Wahoo and Ustinov. Greg is facing this, but can't really see past Zhukov. Now, I'm sitting second row. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a yellow streak running toward ringside. And I didn't even have time to look to the side when all of a sudden this drunk guy in a yellow rain slicker is absolutely windmilling Ustinov in the back. I mean, if this dude was either Butch Miller or Luke Williams, he'd have been bushwhacking him. But he's windmilling him right in the back. And he was tagging him, too, because Ustinov is selling it. And selling it, like Vernon Gagne had said, you're either going to sell for Greg or you're going to sell for me. So Ustinov runs a couple feet away. This is where the drunk fan made his mistake, because he went after Ustinov again. Never got there. Wahoo, being an old school guy, and we all know the stories of Wahoo back in the day, the thing with the gun, he shot Dick Slater in the leg.
Right.
As the fan is going past Wahoo flicked his wrist. Now, Carmine, I know you're Italian, but I don't know if you're Catholic. But let me tell you, my mom was, and the Pope gets more wrist action on a blessing than Wahoo got. And he must have clipped this guy in the temple, because the guy's arms went out and he fell backwards. And if security hadn't been there, the guy would have taken the perfect flat back bump right there on Horlick Field.
Wow, that's something else. Wahoo just knocked him out. Was the guy knocked out for a while?
Don't know. Security carried him out. Security had him under the arms and walked him out. And this is one of those shots that if he hits Ric Flair with this in like 79, Flair hits him back and says, "Hit me, goddammit," And the crazy part is, for years, for me, I hadn't smartened up by then, and I'm maybe not real smart now, but at that point, it's kind of like you're walking in the mall by yourself, and then all of a sudden, you're in the locker room where the mall Santa is getting into his street clothes. Like, right. You know what you're looking at, but you don't know what you're seeing. It was probably 10 years before I realized what I had actually seen. And my dad didn't cop to it, because even though I found out later my dad saw it, I think my dad was trying to make sure that I stayed a kid a little bit longer and didn't learn anything that maybe a 10-year-old maybe shouldn't know. Wahoo
came to the defense of the dastardly heels, and it just blew your mind as a kid?
It really did. A 10-year-old kid, you'd think Wahoo would be cheering the guy on, or, trying to help the guy. Now that I'm older, and Carmine, you're a promoter, you know that Wahoo, in that moment, did the right thing.
Oh, yeah. It's common, especially back in the day, for the wrestlers to stick together. I mean, really, whether heel or babyface. I mean, it sounded like that this fan just couldn't control himself, and he wasn't backing down, and security wasn't doing their job. So Wahoo had to take it into his own hands, literally, and give him a backhand and knock him out. Wow. Did it make the papers? Was it in the paper or anything?
No.
Surprisingly, huh?
I believe the write-up would just have the match results, and that's it. But you got to remember, this is southeastern Wisconsin. This is 1987, where we had Pabst still in the area. Miller was still there. Schlitz was still doing business. We had a lot of beer flowing at a lot of public places growing up. And, man, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that maybe that shot knocked the guy conscious, sobered him up.
Maybe it sobered him up. Hey, maybe so. Maybe so. What a great story, man. Thanks for sharing that.